This video is sponsored by me. Read my original novel, Dance of Frozen Death. Link in the description. Greetings, fellow mortals. I love the John Wick series. I honestly think that it has some of the best fight scenes ever put into cinema. It's about the little details. You can count the number of bullets being fired before a reload is necessary. The sound of the guns is perfect, especially the verbal cues that they're either jammed or out of ammo. The choreography integrates a wide mix of martial arts to the point that I can actively recognize moves, and the characters always fight to their individual strengths. John Wick isn't going to pick up enemies and throw them around like ragdolls. In terms of action, I can never find a flaw in this series. At the same time, the John Wick franchise isn't the type of movies that I would normally like. If you go into these films expecting any sort of coherent plot, you are out of luck, especially if you want more than a base connection between the various films. There are no amazing themes done in beautiful ways. The story is held together with bubblegum and duct tape. Everything about the franchise is an excuse to frame and set up the next set of action scenes, and it is absolutely perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about it.
But wait! There's more!
In terms of the core aspects of storytelling, these movies put characters and setting above all else. I'm invested in the people on screen and the small details about what motivates them. They're not the deepest individuals in the world, but they're fun to watch. And this is a world where literally every single person is a trained assassin, and it is hilarious. Entire armies are killed, cities are borderline burned to the ground, and the police and military do not care. That was established at the very start of the series as a way to ask you not to think too hard about all of this. After walking out of John Wick 4, I had a wide mix of thoughts. There were a lot of why did this happen? How did he get there? What was the purpose of this scene other than to set up a fight? But I kept dismissing those thoughts because it didn't seem fair, and I realized why. Picking on the plot of John Wick is stupid for one very important reason. Despite having the best fight scenes ever, the entire franchise isn't just an action series. It's a parody of action movies. Yep, I'm asking for this fight on the internet.
Punch you. Yes, punch me in the face. Didn't you hear me?
It struck me out of nowhere. John Wick's entire journey started because his dog was killed. And yes, the dog symbolized what remained of his wife, and dogs are absolutely amazing. I love them, but it is a funny concept. And the lack of police and military response to all of this is hilarious. Not to mention that Keanu Reeves barely says anything during dialogue. His responses are often one word. While dramatic, tense, and well shot, the movies actively poke and make fun of its genre while delighting in them. Aren't we silly? Let's have a good time together. So, criticizing the plot of John Wick is like criticizing the plot of Monty Python. What are we even doing? It's a series of movies requesting that you just get on for the ride and enjoy yourselves. Don't worry, don't think, just watch the best action scenes you'll ever see and laugh at the absurdity of it all. Because these are movies made by people who adore action scenes and martial arts. All of the attention is placed on where it needs to be, and boy does it pay off, especially in the climax of John Wick 4, which has some of the most complex, well-shot set of action scenes I have ever seen.
Wow, you make history come alive.
I saw John Wick Chapter 4 with my wife. We went to see it on the earliest possible showing on Saturday. We were close to alone watching this movie on the big screen with surround sound, and we were pointing out the various moves, how the creators understood guns, and how people tended to fight smarter instead of harder. I especially remember when Akira was fighting because my wife repeatedly punched my arm and exclaimed, "Yes, that's how a small woman would have to fight. They get it. This is amazing. Luckily, I don't bruise easily because this process continued as we reacted to the film. We were amazed as John Wick and the main characters altered their tactics based on the situation, and I grew to really care about the two other main male fighters throughout the film. Of course, it was easy to get me to care about Kane when my wife and I gasped in recognition of the legendary Ip Man. As soon as we saw him, we got excited to see how he was going to fight, even if he didn't exactly implement a lot of his own martial arts style in the film.
Boo! Boo, Wendy! Boo!
And the tracker / Mr. Nobody was a highlight for me personally. I loved watching him and understanding his character based on the small details of where he was looking. I want to see more of him. Of course, it's not like there is a lack of great performances in this film. Morpheus is always glorious to watch. Winston always steals the scenes that he's in, and I loved hating the Frenchman villain. Even the small characters were memorable from both Japan and Germany. They were just perfect. Because no one came into this project wanting to put in the smallest amount of effort possible. This was the final fireworks show for this initial franchise. Everyone knew this was the end of John Wick's journey, and they wanted to make the most of it. And they did a great job establishing new characters like Mr. Nobody. And there is the unresolved storyline with Kane still there. Even if that storyline won't go all that long. I mean, Donnie Yen, Ip Man himself, is almost 60. He's a year older than Keanu Reeves, so I don't see him sticking around for more than one more movie. No one beats age, even if they look great. You need to remember that 60-year-old men can't move like they're 20, 30, or even 40 anymore. And I think that's why John Wick 4 is the final film for Keanu Reeves. I've seen that he's going to be in the Ballerina spin-off, perhaps as a cameo, but this is the end of the John Wick story. This is his final showdown, as if the Western themes at the end didn't emphasize it enough. And as a series of fights, this was the perfect send-off, especially when the movie shifted into Hotline Miami. That was so good that I dreamed about that action sequence later. I won't say that the ending storyline is anything great, it's fine. The retirement is fine. You can tell that this wasn't planned during the previous film. I think this was Keanu Reeves looking at everyone, realizing how sore and tired he was, and telling him that he was done. He didn't want to keep going to the point that his body couldn't keep up with the scenes. They probably had to work a lot of movie magic as it is. Not that I'm complaining here. I love Keanu Reeves. I love John Wick. I'm just sad that we won't get to see another film based entirely on him.
You're breathtaking.
Like with every John Wick film, I exited the theater wanting more. Even though the movie is like 3 hours long as it is, I want to see the Ballerina movie spinoff. I want to see the storyline with Kane and Akira. I want to see Mr. Nobody get his own film. I want them to make so much more of a franchise which is about mocking its own genre while giving us an enjoyable ride. It's nice to watch a revenge story filled with violence and not have the creators actively chastise us for having fun or wanting to see John Wick tear through people. They respect the audience enough to let us realize that this is pure power fantasy entertainment. Perhaps revenge stories are just back. The Glory and John Wick take entirely different stances on the norm. It's refreshing. Let people have fun in their imaginations. Let them dream of seeing bad people be punished. Let them imagine themselves as the master strategist Moon Dong-un or the unstoppable fighter John Wick. Let us have fun. Let us get lost in the experience without trying to make us feel bad about enjoying the art.
It's not your fault, all right? It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
If there's one thing that I might say will leave a bitter taste in your mouth, it might be how John Wick retires. I'm not going to spoil it, but I did feel sad, just because I won't get to see him go on rampages anymore. But like I said, I have a feeling this is a Keanu Reeves call. After COVID delayed this, he probably didn't want the filming for the 5th movie to happen while he was turning 60. I get it. I respect his choices. He's earned the right to call his shots. Just like how John Wick earned the right to decide how his quest for revenge ended. And there's only so many ways that you could end a story like John Wick, so we should just be happy with all that we've got and be excited for the future projects coming up. And maybe we'll see more cameos of John Wick and Keanu Reeves going forward. But what do you think? Did you like John Wick Chapter 4 as much as I did? Do you agree that the franchise is kind of a parody of the genre? Are you excited for the possible spin-offs like I am? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your perspectives. And thank you so much for watching. If you like my takes on storytelling, please consider reading my original novel, Dance of Rose and Death, Book 1 in the Written in Stone series, link in the description. And my second book, Above Heaven, will be released on May 1st, 2023. I hope that you will check them both out. I appreciate you. Do not despair.